The interoperability between CATIA, xDesign, and the 3DExperience is quite interesting, and we're going to be looking at a few different topics during this presentation. This is a simple electronics design that I'm doing with another fellow maker. We're both on different continents at this moment, and we're sharing the design through the cloud. So this is electronics module. It's going to be used to drive 3 stepper motors, and ultimately we're going to be building an assembly jig. So right now we're just kind of taking a look at the design and the level of detail that's been modeled. Alright, now we're going to go into the design itself, and I'm going to be using xDesign in this part of the example to move some of these terminals around. I want to position them a little bit better. Doing some measurements here, I can see that they're just kind of not optimally placed. There are a few different methods that we can use to position the components. I can move them just using the compass or the robot. I can also put assembly constraints or mates, as they're called in xDesign. And then I can position those in a more exact location and using nominal numbers. Which makes it a little more straightforward as far as machining and drilling holes and that kind of thing. So what's interesting is that because I've used relational design, I've designed these wires, these jumper wires in context. When I modify those terminal locations, the wires are resizing themselves. They're going back to the mating holes that they've been designed to, and the design is fully updating. So it's important for these wires to be accurate because later in this presentation, I'm going to be exporting a report that shows me all the cut lengths of each individual wire. So then what I should be able to do when I'm ready to build this electronic component or electronic module, I should be able to pre-cut all my wires based on this report that I'm going to output, and make the bends and solder the wires in place, and it should be pretty straightforward. Beyond relational design, we can also design with parameters. So I've included an offset parameter in each one of the wires. What this is going to allow me to do is it's going to allow me to resolve some of these clashing conditions. So we can see some wires are running into another wire, or the wires running into a screw. And I can solve those issues by adjusting this parameter that I've included. Now we're going to take a look at the interoperability between CATIA and xDesign on the 3DExperience platform. So I'm just dragging and dropping the design that I have open in xDesign into my CATIA application. And here we're going to start to look at some of the other parameters and modeling techniques that I had developed specifically using the CATIA application. So each wire, I've included a parameter called cut length. And cut length it's calculating the full length of the wire. So it's including the linear portions of the wire, it's including the bend radiuses, and it would be the full length of the wire flat. And that is the cut length. So I utilized CATIA for that attribute or that parameter to populate the value, and then ultimately that's the value that's going to go into my report. And that report we'll see later I'm also generating through the CATIA interface. Now, there's many ways to accomplish the same thing. My goal here was to show the interoperability between CATIA and xDesign. There are tools within 3DExperience through the Inovia applications that will do some similar things, but ultimately we need to capture this information coming from the 3D design, and then we need some kind of a method to put it into a report. And that's what we're able to achieve here in this example. So now we're looking at the report that I generated from the CATIA interface. And I'm just looking at the values just to show that what's in the report is matching what's in the model. Whether we looked at this model in CATIA, or we look at it in xDesign, or we look at it in Inovia, it's all going to be the same data coming from the same source. So now I've exported that into an Excel format. And of course, I'm going to do a little bit of editing. I'm going to take out the information that I'm not really interested in. This report for me and my purpose is just to get the cut lengths so that I can cut all my wires to the proper length. So now I've modified my Excel document. I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to upload the document, and I'm going to attach this document to my electronic board. So this document will be attached, and it'll be navigational, or I can navigate to it using the Relations Explorer. So I can see that the cut length document belongs to this electronics board. It'll be very straightforward. So just going through the process of attaching documents. I have other PDF files and things that I've attached that are the specifications for each one of the electronic modules, like this DC to DC converter, the step motor drivers, the Arduino board. All those things had specification documents. Yeah, so after attaching documents, I want to start navigating through the design, and I want to see the relationships that have been developed. So yeah, this electronic module is part of another design that I'm working on for a fixture. So you can see this is going to be a phone holder for a cell phone. And the fixture is going to be a form that we're going to heat up the plastic, and we're going to bend it into shape. And we're going to use the electronic module here to drive the stepper motors to actuate these forms. What I'm showing here is that relationship and the navigation that we can have between all the components. So whether we're talking about the part, the electronics module, the jig and fixture, or the documentation, it's all connected.